I the jerk for refusing to let my mother-in-law in my house to see my son, as she is constantly coming at all hours while being completely neglectful of my son's needs? Because at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. I want to start off by saying that all names in this story are fake. So my husband Jared and I have a 6-month-old son that we will call Jed. I'm a stay-at-home mom, and my mother-in-law Susan lives next door to us. She just moved next door to us a couple of months ago, so this didn't really happen during our son's early months. Plus, there's no way we could have stopped her from moving over here. Ever since she moved here, she has taken to just showing up at the door to see Jed and continuously knocking since she knows I'm home until I open. It's a real problem when I'm trying to put Jed down for a nap or feed him or nap myself or anything else, and she has woken him up multiple times. My dog doesn't bark but starts pacing and whines the entire time, either from excitement or anxiety until she leaves or I open the door. Susan showed up 2 weeks ago knocking after I told her the day before that Jed was teething and sleeping terribly. She came right as I had gotten him to sleep and woke him up. I told her at the door that it's not a good time, and she said that she'll come back later. I told her, please just text me so I can make sure he's awake first. It took 2 hours to get Jed back to sleep, and she comes over 10 minutes after I get him down without texting me and wakes him up again. This time, I didn't answer the door. I have a Ring camera, and she stood there for 15 minutes knocking every few minutes or so. After 15 minutes, she finally texted me saying that she's here to see Jed. I texted her back saying that he's sleeping, and I will let her know when she can finally see him, and then she finally left. When Jared got home, I told him everything, and he went to talk to Susan and told her she needs to text me asking if the time works before just showing up, as she keeps waking up Jed. She said she understood and would only come over when she knows that he's awake. He told her to only come over when I say it's okay. Susan has now taken to standing outside our front door and listening to see if she can hear Jed. It is a small old house, so if he's baby talking or crying, you can usually hear it. If she can, she'll knock and stay knocking until I answer. I've now taken to just ignoring her and taking Jed and my dog into the backyard or as far from the front door as I can get until I can see that she gives up or she leaves on the camera. I told my husband, and he agrees with me, that not letting her in unless she texts me first regardless of whether Jed is awake or not is the way that we need to go about doing this. My father-in-law Grant, who divorced Susan, texted me and Jared yesterday about how she is hurt and how we are being cruel by ignoring her, and how she's always wanted to be a grandma and she deserves an opportunity to bond with her grandson. She hasn't seen him in over a week. We were out of town over the weekend and made a Facebook post about how much she misses him. Susan's siblings were commenting about why she can't see him being next door, and she actually said that we weren't allowing her to for no good reason. Now, between Grant and my aunts and uncles, I'm beginning to feel like an absolute jerk, but I'm still not sure if I am one, and at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Yeah, your mother-in-law is being absolutely obnoxious. Does she really think it's okay to knock on your door at all hours and assume that you can somehow just drop what you're doing and hand the baby over to her so that she can see him? Like, I don't know about you, but disrupting a kid's schedule and like all the things they need to do is really not a good idea, because it literally took the original poster, 2 hours to get them back to sleep? And it's literally all because Susan is just knocking on the door like a psychopath. So no, I don't think you're the jerk for setting serious boundaries, and in my opinion, unless you probably move, I can see this happening again and again, because your mother-in-law does not care about boundaries in the slightest. It's very obvious at this point, and I seriously don't see this getting any better anytime soon. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. Am I the jerk for telling my sister that she knows she was a bad mother and that she's created a do-over family, all because she treated her first daughter so terribly? Because right now she is very offended by the things I'm saying, and at this point I'm not sure what to do. Here's what happened. So to start things out, my sister had her daughter when she was 25. We will call that daughter Ashley. Ashley is not her real name. Ashley is now 21 years old, and she has nothing to do with my sister. My sister was never really a good mom, not when Ashley's dad was alive, not when she became a young widow, and not when she decided to focus on herself after losing her husband. Ashley did not have an easy time with my sister, and while my sister went through a lot as well, she was stable in her job, she had support from friends and family, and she had a house. She had any number of resources at her fingertips, but she still chose to be a checked out mother who really didn't care about her child. Ashley spent most of her time with her paternal uncle because of the connection to her dad and their shared grief. He was also amazing to her and stepped up where my sister failed, but Ashley still saw me and my parents a lot, and I was the person she went to for more motherly things. She knew it was a waste of time asking my sister, so she found ways around everything, where my sister's advice or guidance wasn't needed, but it wasn't easy on her. She used to say how embarrassed she was at school when everyone was talking about their parents, and she couldn't talk about hers because her mom never made time for her. She never did nice things for her or anything. She didn't even know how old her mom was or what she did for the longest time because my sister was so absent and never shared. She asked my parents one time at their house because she needed the answer for homework and was called lazy by teachers in previous years for not answering the question. Ashley cared less over time and focused more on a life without my sister, and by the time she was 18 years old, Ashley had a solid plan and moved out. It was also by that time that my sister was remarried and expecting a child with her current husband. My sister's husband appeared to have this belief that Ashley would be engaged in the life of their child, and he was super shocked when he realized that Ashley was leaving and was not staying in touch. But he knew who he married, and he knew how bad of a mom my sister was. My sister even said their first child together and their second child were her chance to do things right, and she has frequently said this, which is why I brought this up last week when my sister had complained that Ashley has not met the kids and blocked her after calling her husband and kids my sister's do-over family. My sister took huge offense to that, and she claimed Ashley was lacking in sympathy for how hard it was to be a young widowed mom. I told her that she knows she was a bad mother, and she knows that this is her do-over family because she even said the kids were her chance to do things right, not to do things better, but right, and that her words show that she knows that she was no mother to Ashley, despite many people trying to help in the past years, including me. My sister told me that I had no right to judge her, and she told me to stay out of her life. So honestly, am I the jerk for being honest with her? Because at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. No, you are definitely not the jerk. Your sister definitely neglected Ashley, and now she's reaping the rewards of not paying attention to her kid. You said it best yourself. She had all these resources at her fingertips. She could have done any number of things to figure out her life for herself and her kid, but instead she focused on herself and basically ignored her child. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not neglecting the fact that she's a widow and her life was like incredibly hard after losing her husband, but in my opinion, that's like the perfect opportunity to step up to the plate and be a better mother for your daughter. And for her to be like, no, this isn't my do-over family, while also saying that this is her chance to do things right, in my opinion is like super messed up. Like if I was in Ashley's shoes, I would not want to contact her ever again either. So no, I don't think you're the jerk for putting this in perspective for your sister, because her behavior is absolutely atrocious. And in my opinion, I think this just might be some tough love that she definitely needs to hear. Am I the jerk for excluding my wife's friend from a trip solely because we think that she is annoying? Because right now my wife thinks that I should give her a chance, and at this point I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So my wife has a friend that we will call Dana. Dana is not her real name. They have been friends for a little over 10 years, and it's important to note that the only friend Dana has is my wife. Now for the sake of this story, I'll call my wife Laura, also not her real name. Dana has always had difficulties making and keeping friends, and this is because she is a classical one-upper. If you tell her about a vacation that you had and enjoyed, she'll tell you it's nothing compared to her last vacation. You're going through a bad time? Well, it's nothing compared to what she's going through and stuff like that. Since her only friend is Laura, I got to hang out with her a lot. And let me tell you something, I don't like her and I don't consider her a friend, but I am civil to her. Now, Laura has tried to integrate Dana to another group of friends of ours, and this has been going on for a few years now, but it is not going well. The breaking point was one night when we were drinking and a friend opened up about losing a beloved pet, and Dana responded by saying that it was nothing compared to when she lost a blouse her mother had given her last year. After that, some people just straight up wouldn't hang out with us if she was coming too. Now this all leads into the main issue. We're planning a week-long camping trip along with 2 more friends and their spouses, and of these friends, only one of them has met Dana. Laura thinks that this might be a good chance for Dana to meet new people, so she suggested that we invite her, which I was obviously against. I get tired just imagining a week with her, and I told her that exactly. She knows that I'm not a fan of hers, but is hoping I will help improve her social skills, but I just don't think our vacation should be her opportunity. We ended up fighting for a little bit, but it just didn't solve anything. Now, here's where I think I might be the the jerk. I continue planning the trip, and every time Laura told me to invite Dana, I would just tell her that I'll do it once it's all set up. But here's the thing, I had no intention in doing so. Anyways, the trip is a few weeks away, and last Saturday the cat got out of the bag about me not wanting Dana to come along. Laura argues that being annoying is no reason to exclude her, and if she needs to improve her social skills, we should be helping her out. Now, I obviously disagree, but I have never seen Laura this angry, so I'm doubting myself. So seriously, am I the jerk in this situation? What should I do? I don't think you're the jerk at all, to be completely honest. Obviously, Laura is trying to be a good friend to Dana and is trying to find some kind of friend group for them to connect with, but this Dana lady is clearly just not good at picking up on social cues. And trust me, I know the exact type of person that they are describing. Dana is one of those people that always one-ups whatever you say, and it's almost like you can never have anything when they are around. It is super obnoxious to deal with, and I don't blame you for not wanting this lady around during your vacation. So no, I don't think you're the jerk at all. I think Dana is reaping exactly what she has sowed, and the fact that she has no friends is literally not your fault in the slightest. Am I the jerk for refusing to have a double wedding with my twin sister, all because I dislike her fiancé? Because right now she is devastated by my answer, and at this point I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So ever since we were kids, my identical twin sister and I have wanted to have a double wedding. However, as we grew up, we realized that as much as we wanted it, it would be unlikely that we would both get engaged at around the same time. A couple of weeks ago, my boyfriend of 4 years proposed to me. Then, a few days ago, my sister's boyfriend, who knew how much we wanted a double wedding, also proposed to my sister. Well, my sister is over the moon and thinks that we'll have the wedding that we dreamed about as kids. However, I told her that the double wedding wasn't a good idea. I made multiple excuses, but she kept on badgering me for the real reason why. So I admitted that it was because I disliked her fiancé. They only started dating this year, yet she thinks that he's her soulmate. He's a high school dropout working a minimum wage job, and he has an 8-year-old daughter whose mother passed away a few years ago. He's also a convicted criminal who once spent 3 years in prison due to illegal substance possession. Most people his age are homeowners, while he can barely afford rent and has resorted to borrowing money from my sister multiple times. I told my sister that she was too young to be a stepmother, and if she married him, he would just use her for her money before he got bored of her. I said that I didn't want the best day of my life to be tainted by sharing it with some man who'd probably just divorce her after a year. She thinks that I'm acting stuck up and judgmental, but I just want the best for her. I still would love a double wedding, but I'd gladly sacrifice that dream if it meant saving my sister from a lifelong bad decision. So honestly, am I the jerk in this situation? What should I do? Okay, for starters, I don't think anyone should have to live up to anything you say as a kid. When you're a kid, you have wishful expectations of what life will be, and sometimes, in my opinion, it's like a misguided expectation that you can never live up to. And in this regard, I think it's not a bad idea to put that to the side, because what your sister is kind of asking for right now is not reasonable. For starters, you don't like her boyfriend at all. You find him to be a very bad person, and you don't think this is someone that she should marry. And while you definitely do not have a say in who she can and cannot marry, on the other hand, you do have full control over your wedding. So no, I don't think you're the jerk. And if you don't want to have a wedding with this guy there, then in my opinion, you are fully within your rights to do exactly that. Am I the jerk for making my bridesmaid cry and storm off at my wedding day, all because she missed a text message stating that I needed help getting ready for my wedding? Because right now, I seriously feel really bad about the whole situation, and I now don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So I got married a few weeks ago and had 5 bridesmaids, with 3 of them being very close friends. Most of our wedding parties stayed at the venue with us, so they were with us the entire morning of the wedding. We hosted breakfast and communicated that everyone needed to be ready for photos by 1:00 p.m. Well, 11:30 rolls around and my makeup artist is late and nobody has started steaming or ironing their clothes. I start to stress out a bit while my maid of honor and I arrange my room for the getting ready photos. The wife of one of my husband's groomsmen, we'll call her Emily, that's not her real name, steps in and starts steaming my wedding dress and helping the groomsmen iron their suits. 30 minutes into this, I text my bridesmaid friends asking where they were and if they could possibly help Emily while my maid of honor and I try to track down the makeup artist. One of them came up and started helping out, but I get no response from 2 of them for about an hour, and my maid of honor eventually sees them lounging by the pool. Shortly after, one of those bridesmaids, who we will call Sarah, rushes into my room as I finally sit down for hair and makeup. She says sorry that she didn't didn't see my text and asked if I still needed help with anything. I just say that it's okay, things are being taken care of now and not to worry. She then bursts into tears, saying I never communicated what I needed help with. Now, I have never gotten married before, so I had no idea so much needed to be done, and I communicated what I needed as soon as I figured that out. She told me that I can't expect her to read my mind and then ran out of the room crying. So it's me, my maid of honor, my sister-in-law, and my mother-in-law who were in the room at the time, and we were all shocked. The other bridesmaid simply came into the room, apologized for seeing the text message late, and started helping, making sure that I had food to eat and coffee to drink. Now, I haven't asked Sarah to do anything for my wedding up until that morning. She even skipped out on my bachelorette party for a birthday party, which hurt my feelings a bit, but I communicated that I was just bummed out that she couldn't make it and moved on. Everyone in the room that day told me to ignore her outburst, but I felt bad that she was so upset and I didn't want her to feel that way on my wedding day. I found her after she cooled off for a bit, and I apologized if I made her feel overwhelmed, and I would have communicated my expectations earlier if I knew what they were just a little bit sooner. She said she prides herself on being helpful, and I made her feel like she wasn't. This was the kicker because she disappeared after that and ended up not helping at all. I just said I was happy that she was there with me regardless, and she was in a bad mood for the rest of the evening, didn't speak to me, and didn't even congratulate my now husband and I during the event. She left early the next morning, and I texted her thanking her for being there with us and that I was grateful for her company, and she told me to just enjoy the rest of the week, and we have not spoken since. So honestly, am I the jerk in this situation? What should I do? So while I don't think that you're the jerk in this scenario, like that would be completely unreasonable and there's no way you did anything wrong, I do, however, think it was very foolish of you to apologize to that lady, especially when you didn't do anything wrong. Like literally, this was her job. She was supposed to step up to the plate and be ready to help you out at your wedding. So in my opinion, for you to apologize to her, especially after her preteen outburst in the middle of your wedding, that in my opinion is insane and you definitely should not have done that. But more to the point, Sarah's behavior in this scenario is completely uncalled for. Like she literally made all of this about her. This is somehow your fault that you didn't communicate your needs at your wedding to her specifically. But in reality, she's just sitting there lounging by the pool on your wedding day. Like what is going on right now? That is so crazy to me. You would think if you're going to be a bridesmaid at someone's wedding, you would at least have the common decency of being ready to help out where you're needed. So no, of course you're not the jerk. Sarah's being a melodramatic loser right now, and any offense that she took is literally her own problem, and it is not something that you did in the slightest. My boyfriend's family lost their home in a fire and are now asking me to put my name on a mortgage loan so they can buy a new house. And I honestly would love to be helpful, but I'm not sure if this is too much to ask. And at this point, I don't know what to do. So I've been dating my boyfriend for almost 4 years, living together for about 2 years. And I'm just gonna cut to the chase. His family, namely his mom, dad, and sister, suffered a house fire in January, and they stayed with us in our 1-bedroom apartment for a couple of weeks until their insurance got them a hotel. And thankfully at this point, they are in the hotel. His family also had 10 cats, and 9 of those cats are in the apartment with us currently. So it's me, him, and 9 cats right now. They pay for the food and litter, but I've bought them a cat tower and some toys. They've basically destroyed my couch, but I figured that they would, and it was a cheap couch. This past Sunday, they went to see a realtor to talk about buying a house. Where they lived was a place they rented for a decade, and the landlord was angry about the fire, so they don't want to go back there even when the house is fixed. My boyfriend was supposed to be the one on the loan because his parents aren't citizens and would have to pay a lot of money on the down payment. But since he has a social security number, he can get a regular rate. The problem is that he doesn't make enough on his own. If I went in on him for the loan, our combined income would be enough to qualify. If I go in on the loan, we could stay with his family in the house and even save for our own house later. We'd have more space, which would be great because I'm trying to start a business, and I wouldn't be living in the 1-bedroom with 9 cats. But it's also a 30-year mortgage loan. He has told me that whatever I decide to do won't affect our relationship, but I'm afraid this will for me. If I don't decide to go on the loan, his parents said they'll get a trailer and take the cats, but his sister will probably still end up living with us because her job is close to us and she doesn't drive. And I honestly feel like I'm losing it. I feel like no matter what I do, I'm losing something. I'm just so conflicted right now. I've asked the advice of my mom and some friends, and they think they're asking too much. But if I don't go in on the house, I'm still in this apartment that costs too much, and we're gonna add an extra person to our space. So I'm wondering, should I just let them put my name on on the mortgage loan, or should I accept that his sister will be living with us? I hate to add any more elements of stress to their lives because they've already been through so much, but now it's leaking into my life a lot. And at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Okay, first and foremost, I think it's a terrible idea to put your name down on that loan. Like seriously, what are you gaining out of this? You're putting your name on the line so that other people can have a house? Meanwhile, you gotta wait and save for another house later down the line? Like seriously, what is the problem here? Like that is not okay, and that seriously is not your problem. And I'm not trying to be insensitive about the house fire or anything like that, but these people were literally renting before the house fire, so there is no reason why they couldn't rent again after the house fire. Why do they suddenly want to buy a house that they can't afford? And also, in my opinion, it is incredibly toxic for them to expect that his sister is going to somehow move into your one-bedroom apartment. Like if I was in your shoes, that would definitely not be happening. I don't care how close my apartment is to their job. You're not living in my one-bedroom apartment. We will literally be on top of each other, and that's just not going to happen. So in my opinion, if I was in your shoes, I would be setting some serious boundaries. I would be telling them not only am I not going to sign up for that loan, but also this sister is not going to be living with us. That is unreasonable, and I'm not putting up with that. Not even mentioning the cats that are currently destroying your house, because right now the way they're treating you is completely unreasonable. And for them to literally expect you to put your financial future on the line just so they can buy a house instead of renting one, in my opinion, is completely uncalled for. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist at the top of the description. And if you want some chill music to put on in the background, check out easymode.com. If you like Am I the Jerk, subscribe to Am I the Genius. Everything will be linked down below in the description.